Mercury has stationed direct, y'all. And it's officially Leo season. So happy birthday, Leo. I think as of yesterday, but for some reason I thought it was today. In proper measure, we're going to use Intuitive Kev's tarot deck and just get some fresh messages on the board. I don't have any pre-shuffle or preview. We're just going to use the IKEV tarot deck and see what the fire and energy has for us. I don't know why, but I just got a total surge of excitement for some reason in a strange way. Like as soon as I sat down, it was like, I don't know, something. I felt something. I don't know what that is, but maybe we're looking at, what's to look forward to for the rest of the summer, perhaps, as August is generally kind of like the wind down of the summer season. I can't believe, that we're almost at the end of, we're getting close to the end of July and it'll be August before we know it. But what can we look forward to perhaps, or what's cooking for Leo season, or whatever, or on the other side of this Mercury station direct, what can we expect? Let's see. Oh, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae. I forgot to say all that. Hope you're doing well. Again, it's Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. And I'm not exactly sure what time it is, but I sure can tell you 2:13 on the clock. Yep. So we're starting with the Knight of Cups. Oh boy, oh boy. Some type of love offer or expression. Let's see. I'm hearing Patty. Somebody loves you, baby. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Somebody loves you, baby. Ooh. Hope it's not this guy. 5 of Swords. What the heck? It's a love offer that's got some strings attached. Though we got white magic though. So what are we saying? What are we saying here? Where somebody coming against? What is this? Let me get another one. Should I go back to the Knight of Cups? Yeah, what's the motive between this Knight of Cups? Or is this somebody on the sidelines that may be envious of someone's love interest or interest in love? Maybe someone is kind of like turning a leaf and ascending, and they got some haters on their tail that don't want to see that happen. That could be it. But let me go back just a bit. What's between this Knight of Cups and 5 of Swords? Is that one? 3 of Pentacles. Yeah, because it feels like maybe someone is not really so beneficial in this energy as they would be in a more corrupted one. Yeah, it could be somebody kind of breaking away from the pact or wanting to, changing paths, maybe just loving themselves a little bit more. Yeah. Feeling enlightened, or seeing the light about something, and maybe even the error of their ways. They're seeing the truth of their associations or what they've been surrounding themselves with, who they're yeah, like some type of hidden enemies. Sorry. Um being exposed, or just someone realizing that who or whatever they've surrounded themselves by have not had their best interest at heart. That's what this could be. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see what's between the Five of Swords and white magic. Twin flame. Yeah, literally could be someone that's like inspired to get on the righteous path and align themselves with energies that are on the same wavelength, that are even on a higher wavelength, and those of which they may be leaving behind or disassociating from, you know, may feel some type of way about that. So it seems, I don't know. What's between these two? The Three of Pentacles and Twin Flame. It's like, what do they say? Threes. Oh, well, I'm hearing three's company, but I was really hearing three's a crowd. But what is the saying? Two is something, three's a crowd. I forget the saying. Six of Pentacles. Something that's like make or break here, where if someone okay, so whatever the dynamic is, whether it's three, whether it's a partnership, whatever it is very codependent on the whole of the collective in order for it to be profitable or beneficial, or at least one particular person, probably the one that wants to, I'm getting a notification in my ear, disassociate, is the prominent link for some type of profitability. So if somebody is choosing to withdraw their energy, their participation, their cooperation, Three of Pentacles, their investment even into a particular matter, the whole thing could fall apart. And it could easily turn upside down, like the traditional Six of Pentacles, where you could be in a prominent seat, a prosperous seat, or you can be in a scarce one. It's just, you know, it just all depends. So it's something that someone's presence has a significant impact upon regarding those that they worked with or that they are associated with. But it's like even being in perhaps like some type of, like, let's say minimum, most primitively, just like a toxic friend group, right? But you add value to that circle of friends and they all know it. Maybe you may not even know it so much, but regardless, it's like one day kind of coming to your senses and saying, you know what, this is just not the space for me. This is not healthy. You start changing your habits, taking more care for yourself, being more intentional about the time you spend and who you spend it with, maybe intentionally withdrawing your energy and investing it elsewhere, whatever the case may be, because of the great value that someone may have added to that friend group, of which they probably weren't getting back out of it. It causes a great infraction to the group, because even if someone may have been operating on a lower frequency, the energy that they possess naturally is a profitable factor or a beneficial factor to those that are a part of it. And then when that person decides to pull their energy back or separate from the group, it's like everything kind of falls apart. So it's literally like somebody that, let's say a chosen one, right? Because I don't really use that word too often, but in this case, someone that has a calling, has a high, that is even aware, perhaps to some degree, or maybe not, but usually so, of the divine ordinance on their life, the anointing perhaps on their life, but they've been allowing themselves to like slum it and do stuff that's beneath them or that's out of order because they chose to, whatever the case may be, they chose to do so. But then they all of a sudden awaken, or they come to their senses. They realize, like, man, I could do better than this. I am better than this, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, it's like the worst nightmare of like a toxic organization or affiliation or association for someone literally to come to um what is the word, to like come to themselves and decide that they're going to start living by the standard that has been divinely aligned for them to do so, outlined for them to do so, even by their own higher standard or moral and ethical measures. Okay. So maybe some repentance is underway, people changing their minds, their hearts, waking up from illusions or coming out of their shadow, seeing the light within themselves and seeing the light, the exposure of things around them. Okay, well that's good. And the other thing I like to say also about the so-called chosen is this is someone choosing themselves, because that's what really makes you chosen, because you can be called all day for whatever, but it's not until you answer the call, you say yes to yourself. Yes, I am worthy, I am ready, I'm willing, I'm able, I'm available, that things really are set in motion. Otherwise, you're just kind of like running on the hamster wheel before that moment of when you kind of like submit yourself to that light that is beckoning you. So that's positive. Some people coming out of the shadow into the light, deciding to take their talents somewhere that they're appreciated. Oh Lord. Not the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Now I could take that upright, but it's not very often that Ace of Pentacles, anything really for me comes in reverse. So I'm going to keep it fair. So let's see, what's that about? Ace of Pentacles in reverse. I don't know if I've ever had that. Two of Pentacles. So some folks may lose their gifts. I don't know. Was I supposed to take that upright? Let me get one in between those. Let's see. Justice. Oh, this is a transfer of wealth and gifts. Like this is some type of transfer of assets that I'm seeing here, where some that may have held position unjustifiably are going to be forced to release, or it's just going to be stripped from them, whatever the case may be, and it's going to be transferred and restored unto those that have that should have rightful possession of it. It could even be a return of energy that was stolen or that was manipulated, that's being returned where it's supposed to be. Interesting. Okay. All right, that makes sense. And honestly, sometimes that can come by way of what we just talked about here, because the upside is that people are seeing the light. They're coming to their senses. They're choosing love, choosing truth, so on and so forth, disassociating or detaching from lower frequencies. But a lot of times that does initiate loss in the ways that you may have gained things through that distorted energy. So if you were gaining profit doing unrighteous things or lower vibrational things, you can't necessarily expect to hold on to that even as you awaken and try to turn over a new leaf. Sometimes that most times, honestly, that does not transfer with you. That doesn't transition with you. A lot of times you either have to surrender that willingly when you do detach or disassociate in the ways that you feel guided to, or it just happens by default, circumstantially. And so that might be what we're seeing here. And a lot of times, I feel like that's just generally what's going on, is that transfer of wealth is exchanging hands, literally Six of Pentacles, from those that may have earned unjustly to those that have been in waiting or in alignment for a reception of compensation or reward or payment or whatever, like whatever it's supposed to be, that was somehow held in limbo or detoured or delayed because it was held in possession of folks that really didn't have a spiritual and maybe even an actual legal right to it. So this could be property, it could be actual money, it could be energy, it could be time being restored, it could be gifts, it could be it could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things. But that's what that is. Okay. So I was right. I was right. It always is. And that literally could even be the divine snatching stuff back with that Pentacles, that Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. Like, give me that. You know that wasn't yours. And putting it in the hands of those that it was supposed to have gone to, or that it's just rightfully due to at this point, based on merit, based on devotion, dedication, work ethic, faith, fortitude, inheritance, like whatever it is, it's justified here with the Justice card. It's fair. Six of Cups. Six of Cups. It's given like reconciling the past. That's what I have on that. Maybe perhaps what was lost, or what was sacrificed. Let me see. What's another one there between those two? But I did say Six of Cups, right? That's what that is. Ooh, not the Seven of... Wait, so... What was that one? Am I tripping? Hold up. Oh, crap, y'all. My bad. That was the Five of Swords. I read it as the Seven of Swords, right? Yeah, that's the five. My bad. I mean, it is conflict, but it's, well, obviously, it was important that I see it that way for a reason. But it does slightly change the vibes slightly, because this is about conflict, but it still speaks to there being a conflict on account of someone removing themselves or disassociating. The Seven of Swords here is like I said, it's about something that was stolen, which, still falls in line with what I just said. Like something that was lost, that was corrupted, the past perhaps that was corrupted. That's what this is here with this Seven of Swords. Resolution and restoration from past corruption. Something that was unfair happened. Maybe there was some, like I said, there was something that was on a trajectory that should have been dispersed, should have been relayed, handed over, paid out, transferred, given to, directly or whatever. Like there was something that was due to someone naturally, organically. And at some point in time, there was an interference with that. And now, perhaps is what we're seeing is that reunion between innocence and recompense. I don't even know what recompense means. Hold on. Hold, please. Let's see. Recompense. One second. Recompense. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what that means. As in something returned or paid back. Amends, atonement, compensation, damages. Yep. Payment, recovery, redemption, reparation, restitution, reward, royalty, all of that is what recompense. That's crazy. Yep. Well, there it is. So there was something unjust, but it's being made right. And whomever was disenfranchised is being made whole. Period. And here is the energy of those that have, between those that have realized the error of their waywardness or their ways and are in the market to repent or correct themselves, which is great. And also the contention between those that have and do recognize the error of their ways and those that still refuse. And I'm not guided to talk much more about that side of things, because it's much heavier on those that are just ready to see the light and walk in it than it is on those that refuse. But it's there, it's definitely there. And I'm gonna get one more, but then I'm gonna say something maybe, let's see. Let me get one more. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is what can be expected. Three of Wands. Those ships that just come sailing on in easily. Because it's just due. It's time for the scales to be balanced, for things to be made right, for justice to be served. Yeah, so on and so forth. Fill in the blank. But what I was gonna say is, yeah, I this is kind of off track, but not really. but I'm getting the sense, well, I kind of said this already, that there were some, this is much more specific what I think I'm going to say, that there were some chosen ones that got corrupted along their journey. You know, like I said, those that had no business playing in lower vibrational energy to the depth in which they did, or at the magnitude in which they became entangled, because perhaps it was the fate for that lesson to be learned a certain type of way for some as well, just as being on like the opposite end, or the end of the disenfranchisement of corruption was a lesson learner for others. I do believe that some so-called chosen ones, remember I'm using that term loosely right now to make a point, that became corrupted, they lost the plot. And they were really supposed to kind of see what was behind the veil and in the underworld, to like gain the intel that would be needed to combat that corruption, to be tested by it, sure, but for it to strengthen their resolve and their will to then go on the offense and do something that would be anti-corruptive, you know, to build their playbook and their you know, their attack, so to speak, not necessarily against directly those energies, but build their strategies in a way that would defend against and in some ways, how can I say it, like be an assault against as well. So like when you know, like say, this is real primitive, right? But like say someone that got entangled in like some of the darker workings of celebrity, or like the industry, you know, entertainment industry. They were supposed to see that so that they could be given the opportunity to choose otherwise, to solidify their light and their spiritual will and strength by standing against that, even amidst the temptation, all the temptations that they may have had to go along, you know, or to and allow themselves to get deeper into that entanglement. Some I feel may have broken away sooner than others, maybe before too much damage was done, but I do feel that others may have stayed a bit too long, and some may have even have been a bit deluded to believe that they could withstand the temptations and do something particularly outstanding while in the midst, in the underbelly, so to speak, and still be unscathed, and still also come out with the spoils of the benefits, you know, of those associations. But what they found out the hard way, for those that stayed too long, is that there is no such thing. If you stay so long, you're either going to start to assimilate, or your character is going to start to be corrupted and worst case scenario, corroded, so that you begin to look like everything that you're supposed to actually stand against. But as I've been saying for quite some time, there's always hope. There's always a silver lining. There's always a possibility to still save yourself if you just have the will to do so. You know, the divine can get behind a strong and powerful choice to do the righteous thing. It may not come and scoop you up out of the mess that you created for yourself, but it will certainly sustain you as you take the strides to pull yourself out, you know, to go and to start to walk in the opposite direction. And so I think that is what I'm seeing here, interestingly enough, is like the sudden awakening, or maybe an awakening that's been a long time coming. Whichever it is, it really doesn't matter, of someone that realizes that they're better than this, and that they've gotten all that they're going to get out of an association, an affiliation, a lifestyle, a friend group, a business, an industry, a field, whatever the case may be. They've gotten all that they can get out of it, if there was anything sustainably profitable to have in the first place. And that they're wise enough, they're enlightened enough now to know that they still have a choice to choose themselves and choose their supreme selves. The twin flame, and it's like the lovers, and the this card here, I forget what this is again, what I'm looking at, but to choose their supreme selves, their higher selves, to save themselves ultimately, because it's real dangerous over here. It's real dangerous. And although I was seeing it as the Seven of Swords, it's interesting that it did ultimately come out. It's actually the Five of Swords, but that's also dangerous because that is a persistence in an enemy to do whatever it takes to win, no matter what the cost. So that means that there was no best interest that could have ever been valued as far as someone's participation is concerned. They were just a pawn and just being used as a resource for as long as they were allowing themselves to be so. You know, this is like parasite behavior, where we're just going to take and absorb and feed and deplete to our heart's content and for our pleasure and our profit, but we really don't care about your soul or your well-being or even your accounts, you know, like your savings once you get out of here, as long as we're good. And the only objection to someone's enlightenment is just the sheer fact that they may lose access to that power source and that resource. You know, so I feel like that's what's being displayed here, is that people are awakening, but like I said, it's like simultaneously that energy that was acquired when someone might have been asleep or exclusively operating in their carnal nature or their lower frequency, or disillusioned in some way, or tricked, deceived in some way, whatever the case may be, the transfer of energy and wealth is going to ultimately be the salvation for whomever was associated with that energy, because that material most likely is tainted a bit as well. So even though some people might feel a bit stripped down from how they were living and the benefits and profits that they had when they were a part of a certain association, the divine is really saving souls by taking that stuff away, because that's just like the residue of that lower frequency that's going to keep you attached and keep you entangled. You almost have to like completely have a clean sweep, a clean slate, like release everything that's associated, whether that be materials, whether that be people, places that are affiliated, that are a memory, relationships, habits, like everything kind of has to go. You literally got to clean your closet out, from the most intimate spaces in your life to the most public, you know, the most what you call it, like yeah, I guess public is the right word. You would need to kind of cleanse that palette completely if you want the total divine glow up. You know, like if you just want to do a little bit, then you know that'll be your return and your reward. But to have the full spiritual overhaul, 9 times out of 10, you got to kind of wipe that slate clean of everything and everybody. And that could be family, that could be friends. And you may or may not be able to reconnect at another time. It's possible. But to begin the journey of, you know, to salvation ultimately, you know, literally salvaging your soul from deterioration, you know, like revitalizing the soul essence of you, you got to start fresh. You got to start fresh. And what I was also going to say is that a lot of the corruption at its worst was so-called chosen ones being corrupted to work against other chosen ones, or to work against other innocent people in this case, or those that didn't have nothing to do with none of that, and that were just, modestly living their own lives. Like Two of Pentacles is a modest life, but you're following the statutes of the spiritual law, making your own strides on your personal path, honoring the past, and in a way that is um that is integral, you know what I mean, like taking care of family, taking care of home, having the best intentions for those around you and even distant from you if you've had to separate, and keeping your eye on the prize, on a promising future and the best case scenario, even though you might not be experiencing that. Like that was the noble way of going about having the result that was more immediately gratifying through these lower means. And now it's like the changing of hands, the changing of the guards, the exchange of wealth and power for those that actually took the strides toward their own salvation, versus those that took the shortcuts. You know what I'm saying? That it's just literally the scales being balanced in spirit and in truth. No favorites here. That's why I loosely use the word chosen. It's just about literally those that know they have a calling on their lives. And the difference is only between those that answer it and those that don't, those that actively pursue it, and those that refuse, or even worse, go in the opposite direction. So yeah, so some of them got lost along the way, perhaps amongst those that never had no intentions of following no higher calling. They may not even be ordained to. I don't know, but the key point is there's awakening happening, and there is restoration happening, and that's a good thing. That's a great thing. All right. And maybe that's why I got like a little excited. Like I swear it was like a little dance in my heart when I when I sat down. Social media, okay. So something about social media, the World Wide Web, and the Five of Wands. Okay. That's kind of an interesting way to end things. Online competition. I don't know. Well, maybe people are going to see, because of the internet and everything being so much more, right up in your face, hard to miss anymore. That may be where the evidence of this distinction is displayed, where it becomes quite clear and plain. Yeah, kind of like how people are doing, you know what I mean? Like whether you are intentionally promoting yourself online, or sharing with the purpose of kind of showing off, or showing what you're doing, or what, I don't know. It's just giving me like, it's not something that can be hidden or missed at some point. There will be signs one way or the other of those that are kind of in a particular season of restoration, I should say repentance, and those that are in the season of restoration. Like something about that will be clear, and that's to, of course, to the detriment of those that would rather not be on display, that are not necessarily living in their best moments. But that's just what it is. That's the times that we live in. You could even take yourself off of certain platforms and end up being posted by somebody else, or caught in 4K in some way, shape, or form. Like there's nowhere to hide is what I'm getting. There's no way to conceal your fate and reality at this time that couldn't be exposed in a particular light, even by, something that you share on your own, by your own will. But okay, I'm also getting that. Okay, for those, there are those that may not want to be exposed and they may or may not be able to help that. That's one thing. But then, as I said, there are those that may be on an upswing in life in whatever measure makes sense to them. Be mindful of displaying that in public spaces like online. You don't need to be telling everybody everything that is going well for you. And it's unfortunate to say that, because you should have the liberty to share everything and it not feel like a brag or a boost or like you're trying to put anybody down. We live in a social media society, so you should be able to celebrate your accomplishments out loud. But with this Five of Wands and social media, I feel like even more so is being mindful of the distinction of experience, the disparity, quite honestly, of experiences, and that what you say and share could ultimately make you a target, So just be discerning, selective, and wise, because everything ain't for everybody to know. You can celebrate on your own, with people that you actually trust and care about in real time. It does matter, even if you don't take a picture and post it. Like, you can still fare just fine without telling everybody about your brand new car and the house, the $1 million house you just bought, and posting live footage of you on vacation. As I like to say, that's how you get robbed. It's like, celebrate with wisdom, because after all, is it really about the promotion of it all anyway? It's not. It really isn't. This is very much so just a personal experience that, of course, you have the liberty to share, but just know that everybody is not on the same wavelength, and everybody doesn't, as you may have been, have the capacity to celebrate you even when they may not be in the same situation or having the same promising or prosperous experience. At a time when you weren't doing too great, maybe you could celebrate others and be happy for them all the same. But everybody doesn't have that capacity. And some may even take it to another level, if you feel me, with the Seven of Swords. So keep people honest, keep your accomplishments protected and secure, and your lifestyle, secure in that regard, so that you can continue to enjoy yourself. Enjoy is the key word, and it's still here on the top of my deck. Enjoy is that, and it feels very synonymous with Leo season. That feels like congruent to the Leo season. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy. All right, so I'm gonna leave that there. Thanks for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.